Hey everyone, hope you all are well. The first thing I'm doing today, as always, is priming the eye area, and I'm beginning by adding a few swipes of my trusty Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer Potion to the eye area, and then I'm using a Sigma 3D HD precision brush just to buff and blend this into the skin, just on the eyelid and surrounding areas, anywhere that I'll be applying eyeshadow, and this is just to ensure that the shadows apply and blend with ease, and that they last all day long too. So I'm taking the Urban Decay Naked Petite Heat palette today, another one I've rediscovered from my collection. She may be small, but she is mighty. And the first shade I'm taking is called Hot Spell. This is a light, warm orange toned brown, and this is a matte finish to it. I'm adding a wash of colour into the crease now with my Crown Brush crease brush, and this shadow acts as a fantastic transition shade. The colour payoff is great, as you can see. It's nice and soft, but not too soft in texture that it's really powdery and causes fallout. It just blends really easily and lasts well on the eyes too. So I'm just adding a second layer of this shadow now, building up that colour intensity, and I'm using little circular and windshield wiper motions just to blend this shade into the crease. And also then this time I'm bringing it down on the inner third of the eyelid and the outer third of the eyelid, because we're going to be creating a spotlight eye look today. The next shadow then I'm taking is called Wild Thing. It's a beautiful rusty warm orange, and this is a matte finish to it. I'm using a smaller brush to apply this shade, and this is the Sedona Lace EB09 Universal Blender brush. And I'm taking that orange into the crease, just firstly rocking this shade back and forward in the deepest part of the crease, and then I'll use wriggling motions and just a mix of motions really to take this shade up a little higher in the crease. And the less product that I have on the brush, naturally the higher I'll go, because I want that previous shade to still peep through. So like the last time, I'm also bringing this down on the inner and outer corner of the eye, leaving a nice blank space in the middle. I'm going back to that Crown Brush crease brush now, and I'm running over the edges of the look just for a couple of reasons. One, to make sure the first shade is still apparent, and two, to make sure that it fades in softly with that orange. I want no harsh edges. Making our way up the palette now, I'm taking the eyeshadow called Heat. It's more so a deeper warm orangey brown shade, and this also has a matte finish to it. And I'm taking this colour up on the same Sedona Lace brush, and I'm adding it into the crease too. And as you can see, almost instantly this adds a lovely amount of depth. This 6-pan eyeshadow palette for me is it's such a handy little travel palette to have on the go. All the shades just complement each other really well. So I'm adding a second layer of that Heat shade now, this time more so focusing it on the inner and outer corner, and then I'm blending it into the crease. And just do your best to keep that centre part of the lid bare. If you've a little shadow overlapping that area, it's not really a big deal because we'll be cleaning it up now in a second, but the barer you can leave it, the better. It just leaves you with less work to do later on. I'm going to clean up that lid area now, and to do that I'm using the L'Oreal Infallible Concealer in the shade 325, and this is a really good full coverage concealer that isn't cakey, and it comes in a wide range of shades. So I'm tapping the applicator down in the centre of my lid now, very gradually making my way upwards, and I'm actually going to physically look up to get a marker to where to blend that concealer up to. And then what I like to do is just tap that brush, then tap that applicator up to that guideline. So I do this firstly with the applicator itself, and then I like to switch to a more precise brush. This is just a synthetic C-shaped brush from Vanity Planet. Unfortunately, it's actually not available anymore. But I'm very carefully and very gradually now patting that concealer into the lid, letting the brush do all the work, letting the shape of it just cut the crease and give me a nice crisp edge. Any C-shaped brush will do. So I always take the concealer over a little further than I need to, because it'll just help everything fade that bit more seamlessly into one another. When I layer and buff the shadow over the concealer, it does just merge them nicely into one another. So as you can see, I've just picked up a touch more of that Wild Thing shade, and I'm sweeping it over the edge of the concealer, buffing towards the centre of the lid, and naturally I'm doing this on both the inner and outer corners of the eyes. Now I'm taking the shade Strike, which is a deep, warm, kind of plum toned brown, and this is a matte finish to it. And I picked this up on a small pencil brush, and I'm just adding this to the very most inner point of the eye and outer point of the eye, just to give a further bit of depth to the look. And once I'm happy then with how that looks, I just like to add then a smidge of this above that crease line, just to connect everything together. I want a bit more of a pop to that centre part, so I'm taking the shade Inhale, which is a light satin champagne shade, and I'm using a Sigma pencil brush just to dust this eyeshadow onto the lid. This is the only shimmer in the palette, and it's great for adding a highlight to under the arch of the brow or to the tear duct too, and I just love the subtle shimmer that it gives to the lid. It really draws the eye to that area. What I'm doing now is I'm just repeating the steps from above down below along the lower lash line, and I'm using a brush that came with the Urban Decay Naked Honey eyeshadow palette. I'm using the small smudger end of the double-ended brush to apply Hot Spell all the way down along the lower lash line first. Then I'm using that warm orange shade, and I'm just packing this down along there. This one's called Wild Thing. Just patting and pressing the shadow down along the lower lash line. And once then I'm happy with how that looks, I'm taking back up another little bit of the shade Heat, and I'm using this then right in at those lashes. So pressing my brush, wriggling it in there. And I just think the oranges, and I've said it so many times before, but I really do think these tones complement blue eyes so well. So I want then this strike shade to be the closest to the lash line because it is the darkest shade. I want a subtle amount of the shadow there. So I'm using a pencil brush to apply this. Then I'm taking the 24/7 Glide On Eye Pencil in the shade Torch. As you can see, mine is tiny. I can't bear to get rid of it because it was limited edition, unfortunately. But it just adds a lovely pop of colour to the waterline, and it complements the look really well too. I'm then adding a pair of the So Wispy lashes from Kiss. These are from their Tapered Lash collection. And now I'm using some of the Lancome Lashy Doll mascara to blend my own lashes in with the false ones, and to also coat my bottom lashes too. But then that's it. So I hope you enjoyed the tutorial, and I'll catch you all soon.